What's up, people? D.HoChoy here with our very first commentary, and it's on a very hot topic at the moment, the mysterious Mr. Enter. Mr. Enter is one of the biggest names in the cartoon community, though not necessarily for all the right reasons. To say he's a controversial figure would be a real understatement. He's getting quite the rep for things, including taking cartoons super seriously to the point where he's either screaming at the characters as if they are real people who could hear him.
Screw you. And adding itis to the end of the word does not make it a disease. The itis. You have a landlord? Why the fuck hasn't he kicked you out and blacklisted you? Patrick decides to
Or accusing certain writers of being bad people because they worked out episodes he personally doesn't enjoy.
I feel nothing but contempt for you three. For this to come into your mind. For dipshits? No, that word is too good for you. Assholes? That's not quite right either. Fuckers? No.
Being so hypersensitive that you can't tell trolls apart from people merely criticizing.
Shut the fuck up. And I blocked everyone who had there's a difference between cyberbullying and trolls mentality.
His overall lack of professionalism, right from his poor editing to his outright refusal to further his education. Despite this, Enter wants to start his own cartoon series. For those who don't know what that is, Growing Around is something he based on a Disney short that flopped. He even made a scathing review on it and talked about how we would have handled its premise differently. Growing Around is just that. The difference from the short is that kids have the roles of adults and vice versa, but still have the same mentality, which you can easily say is a moronic concept for a series. But is that necessarily enough to completely damn his series? Other series like Codename Kid Next Door have a similar concept, but it works because they're clever, well thought out in regards to world building, and have a level of self-awareness that show the writers know the overall idea is dumb. Anyways, let's get to the main topic of this video. His IndieGoGo campaign to get the animated series of his off the ground, which we already know is a bust, but what if could he have done differently? Well, first let's take a look at his trailer for said campaign.
Like being a kid. Do you remember how you had to wake up early, sometimes even before the sun had come up, to get ready to go to school? A place that you'd come to dislike as the years had rolled on. A place where they put information in your head that you couldn't care less about. Your only reprieve during the day was a brief bit of recess, which was a luxury that was ripped away little by little, as they wanted to prepare you for more and more tests.
Doesn't sound much different from adulthood, except, not having to pay bills, sacrificing things that bring you joy, starting to see life for what it really is, having full responsibility for every fuck up you make, and working long hours with little sleep time. In other words, childhood is just a taste of what you face later in life. Don't get me wrong, childhood has its rough patches, but it's the one time in your life you can act like a dumb shit and it's completely justified. Most people would actually trade it all if they could just to relive their childhoods. Enter saying nonsense like this means you really question who he's really marketing this series towards. Children or emotionally stunted adults.
Those dishes that you hated cleaning, they'd become the centerpiece of a game of baseball. And that bedtime that your parents saddled you with, what if that was their bedtime?
Yep, definitely the latter.
I want to bring that thought to life with a show that I call Growing Around. It's planned to be a cartoon about an energetic and wildly imaginative little girl named Sally Dunn as she navigates issues of family, friends, and her typical daily life.
I don't trust you to write a story through the lens of a little girl. Your experience with little girls probably only amounts to watching My Little Pony.
A world where kids make all of the rules. They run the schools, the homes, the towns, and the countries. It sounds like it would be a world of fun and games.
No, it sounds like it would be a complete fucking disaster. The death rate would be higher than that of North Korea. The system would be utter chaos, and society would collapse under itself within days. I would also like to point out that it's strange how a man who makes a living off from bitching at other shows for their toon logic not making sense is unironically embracing the idea of a world ran by literal children. But considering what John is into, this doesn't really surprise me.
And some days it is, as Sally helps her parents with their homework, like getting the highest score in the latest video game, or creating the absolute best superhero identity.
The way you describe it, this world honestly sounds quite depressing. Once you become older, you're legally forced to learn useless activities that only serve as a reminder of the freedom you'll never get back, as your rights are slowly stripped away from you and given to your children the moment they can form sentences. By the way, since kids run all the schools, does that mean they automatically know everything? If so, then that only makes things worse.
But even a world of fun and games isn't always fun and games. Childhood is a time of extremes, and growing around takes these fantasies and removes the safety brakes. A simple game of tag could drive an entire city into the apocalypse. After all, if you want the game to end, you're probably just the person who's it, and is tricking them into being tagged.
Certainly doesn't sound like a world of fun if such a simple game can turn their world to shit. I would applaud you for showing a level of self-awareness here, but I'd be giving you too much credit.
Brother and sister start fighting over a cereal box toy. With no parents to break them up, they do the only logical thing they can think of: go to court.
So, the kids are using the legal system for their little problems. But what about the adult problems like domestic abuse, abortion, identity theft, and battery? How are they handling growing around? Do the kids just ignore them and focus on more pressing matters like a fucking cereal box toy?
This show is a culmination of 4 years of work.
And almost nothing to show for it. 4 years and all you give us are these childish doodles with boring narration about how childhood is supposed to living hell. No test animation, no storyboards, no clearance from any animation studio. You don't even have an established team. How can you expect people to shell out $350,000 for what's essentially just a slideshow?
I've been at it writing dozens of scripts and fine-tuning the world and the characters to perfection.
Yeah, I've read some of those scripts, and they're all a bunch of generic episode ideas that are much too short to make a whole 22-minute episode. I also read that book, which is basically all the scripts compiled together to make a hardcover, complete with all the spelling and grammatical errors.
However, there is one hurdle that is yet to be crossed.
I can list way more than one hurdle.
Growing Around is a series that isn't going to be afraid of touching any issue. Topics of sexuality, gender, existential crisis, cultural identity, death, regret, they will all be subjects of episodes.
That is exactly what children programming needs. A weird, socially inept man teaching kids about subject matters that will more than likely fly over their heads. Seriously though, Enter, this just sounds like you're copying every other cartoon that panders to this PC culture that plagues our society. And cartoon-obsessed adults who think all cartoons must be serious business like Steven Universe. The same show whose writing staff is filled with degenerates use an excuse to spread their stupid propaganda, even though it has no business being there in the first place. But if you're gonna tackle sugar-free issues, as you put it, why not have an episode where Robert just snaps under your pressure of living in a world ran by kids? The establishing shot has Autumn laying in a puddle of ketchup, Maple has a black eye, and Max is reduced to a stammering, nervous wreck who looks 3 seconds away from a panic attack. Then, go nuts. Not exactly age appropriate, but it's way more clever and original than what you're suggesting. And the fact you're using topics like sexuality as a selling point for a show aimed at kids, no less, is all kinds of wrong, man.
This is why I am planning on using IndieGoGo. This particular crowdfunding campaign will be for the pilot episode entitled Max's Many Birthdays.
Now, let's check out that IndieGoGo page, shall we? I don't know how many experts are watching, but I bet anyone with basic knowledge on how the industry works can easily tell Mr. Enter is asking for way too much. First off, $250K for animation? I get that he wants it to look nice, but you don't need $250,000 for that. The average cartoon only has $100K per episode for animation, let alone for the pilot. Ignoring the premise of the show being fundamentally broken and in need of a massive overhaul, it's crazy how Enter thinks he would ever get nearly $500,000 in the first place when he hasn't shown to possess any real talent for what he's pursuing, either be through this video or his cartoon reviews.
I'm going to give the series Growing Around its own Patreon to keep it going. In return for your donation, we have many great rewards.
Let's check out those awards as well. Name on the credits page, pretty standard. Exclusive sneak peek, also fair, though it sounds ominous. A special thank you video, okay. Though can't imagine what a special thank you video from Enter would be like. The pilot's soundtrack, which will more than likely be up for free on YouTube. Trading cards, the fuck. Signed poster, not bad, but also not worth $50. t-shirt, definitely not worth 90 bucks. Both t-shirts, again, not worth it, but at least you get another shirt half price. Name and show, artists and name and credits essentially the same thing. This reward would mean more if you were to be made a minor unseen character within the show that is referenced through dialogue. It'd help in immersing you within the world, despite not being an official cast member. Looks like we're back to basics. Overall, several are fairly reasonable perks, but they don't really scream $500. Sure, as fans may want them, but knowing them, they'd even pay actual money for a flask of spit if he auctioned it.
I'm not going to be putting it behind a paywall or anything. My dream is in your hands now. And thank you for listening.
Ew, don't ever look at me like that. Anyways, if you haven't guessed already, this is a pretty underwhelming trailer. He doesn't really show anything to convince the viewers to back him up 100% and just does a lot of talking. Also, for any Enter fans out there, this video is not for the sake of furthering the Mr. Enter hit brigade anymore. In fact, this will probably be the only video about him on the channel. I just wanted to give my honest thoughts on the matter as an aspiring artist myself. I won't knock him for having a dream either. We all had dreams of starting our own animated series at some point, and he's come closer to achieving it than a lot of people. But there's something called reality, which he really needs to consider. Anyways, this has been a commentary true review style, and for everyone watching, have a nice day.